Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, Vikings Vent Line every Sunday right here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel and podcast feeds. You can hit the like button, subscribe button, 5-star review on the Apple or Spotify side, or on the Score North app side. It helps us out too. Vikings Vent Line is a place for all Vikings fans and even NFL fans. If you'd like to be on this show, you can hit me up. It's vikingsventline@gmail.com. If you have takes, if you have expectations for the upcoming season, this is the place for you. It's a welcoming space. I like to host this every weekend right here on Purple Daily to talk to many Vikings fans as I can from across the country, from across the globe. And then during the regular season, Mackie, Judd, and myself welcome a ton of Vikings fans on after every single Vikings game. So if this is a show you'd like to be on during the off-season edition, maybe it's the first time you haven't been on, hit me up, vikingsventline@gmail.com. Would love to connect with you. Purple Daily also sponsored by our friends at Quick Trip. So start your weekend, start your day, start however you want it, right at Quick Trip. Quality gas, great stuff inside as well. Find a local Quick Trip near you. Appreciate everyone that has stuck with us here on the offseason. We've been ranking weird things like we did on bar foods on Friday's episode of Purple Daily. So plenty of great content still coming your way. We will have some fun things that we'll be launching this summer too, on top of, OTAs and camp notes like we always do. If there's something new stuff you'd like to see us do, you can hit us up through the Score North app. There's a feedback tab there. We'd love to hear any suggestions you guys would want to hear. We're open for business here at Purple Daily. All right, let's get our guys on. Let's get AJ and Austin in here on Vikings Vent Line. Both these guys have been on Vent Line in some type of form before, but AJ, welcome back to the show. Remind me again, are you in Minnesota? Are you in another part of the country or part of the globe? Where are you at, sir?
I'm in Pittsburgh, PA, actually.
Pittsburgh, PA. And then, yep. Austin, you just moved back to St. Paul, right? Minnesota?
Yeah, for the first time, I moved to St. Paul back in August. So loving it here. Nice to be close to the professional teams.
Yeah. Where were you before?
I lived in North Carolina while I was doing my master's, and then I grew up in Iowa.
Okay. Where in North Carolina were you living?
Greensboro. And then I did part of high school in Chapel Hill.
Okay. Nice, man. Very nice. My brother lives in the Triangle, lives in Cary and Raleigh over there. So love me some North Carolina. Nice. Pittsburgh's been high on the list for me, AJ. Twins are coming there next weekend. It's been like one of my number one ballparks to see is PNC Park. I've always wanted to go check it out.
It's amazing. I'm actually going, I think Paul Skeens going to pitch Wednesday next week. So I'm going to go down to the ball field and watch him.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bummed. I know, I don't want him to strike all the Twins out, but I want him to face the Twins, and it doesn't look like he'll be lined up to face them. He's going to be an awesome phenom. So great areas. Love it that Vikings fans and on Vent Line can come all over here from all over the country. Let's get into this, though. So OTAs have started a little bit. AJ, which Vikings player do you, could be a rookie, could be someone in, their second or third season, or just an older veteran too, I guess, which player to you has the most to prove in training camp this summer?
I mean, so the obvious answer would be JJ or Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the future. We don't know what's going to happen there, but I think I'm going to go with the 22 draft guys, Cine and Booth. Those first two picks, is Cine going to even make the roster this year? He doesn't help us on special teams. He had that bad injury, but it's time to show something.
Yeah, he is definitely in danger of not making the roster, Cine especially, and that group, that whole safety group, Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, who's a roving player, but still you can probably label him as a safety. So that puts Cine fourth on a depth chart and on a position that's important, and the Vikings already have depth at. And unless there is a huge jump in the growth of his game or maturity, Harrison Smith's probably entering his last year in the NFL or with the Vikings, I guess. Unless there's something crazy that has happened here or he gets in the good graces of Brian Flores, I think it's going to be a tall task for him. Booth, probably not as on the chopping block, but still has a lot to prove. I think that cornerback room is thin, so it's kind of the opposite where maybe he can pop up and surprise some people if he stays healthy. Yeah, those 22, that first class from Kwesi was going to go down as a big whiff. We'll see if any of those guys surprise. Austin, how about you, though, man? Which players at training camp this year? Same guys? Any different guys that have a lot to prove at training camp this summer?
For sure. I feel like Judd right now. I've got my Austin's camp notes.
Nice.
I took a couple notes on a couple players I want to talk about. But yeah, I absolutely agree with Cine and Booth having a lot to prove. But I'm actually going to go to the offense over to our trenches. I think Ed Ingram has a really big opportunity to say, like, am I going to be the guy? Am I going to take that step that he kind of needs to take to be able to really establish himself as our starting guard. And then Dalton Reisner as well. I think he's just gotten so much. There was a lot of hype around, like, are we going to re-sign him? Are we going to go Blake Brandel? Are we going to go Ed Ingram and just roll with that? So I'd kind of like to see him come up and just, really have, I don't want to say like even like a breakout year, but I think it was said on Purple Daily earlier this week, like, just come in and be a solid football player. Like, whoever, I think that's really just what we need from our guards right now is be solid. Don't be Ed Ingram week 1, be Ed Ingram that San Francisco game, that Monday night game. Like, that was an awesome game from the entire O-line. So I'm really hoping that they can step up. Other than that, I also just think Josh Oliver's got a really big opportunity for himself when TJ Hawkinson's out. Obviously looking to start on the PUP list. So getting him out there and saying, like, okay, we don't need you to be TJ by any means, but make a couple big third down catches, block well, do what we signed you to do, but be tight end 1 for a little while. And I think that's going to be really important.
AJ, do you feel the interior of that offensive line, obviously with Reisner coming back, Bradbury took a better step forward, but still, maybe not an elite center by any means. Do you feel okay with the Vikings offensive line as a whole?
I mean, what's a Vikings podcast without us talking about interior offensive line here? Yeah, I did like to see that Ingram improved. Disaster bottom, I think he was bottom 3 his first year, but he made improvement. Bradbury made improvement. And I always liked Brandel. I liked him when he filled in when the swing tackle. I thought he played well, and the coaches seemed to like him too. So I think we're going to be all right. It's going to be an improvement of maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, the tackles are set, obviously, with Darrisaw and O'Neal. Those guys are great. They love Brandel. I mean, they gave him a big deal. Yes, they brought back Reisner, and I'm totally okay with depth and competition at those spots because, to both your guys' points, Ingram took a step forward, but again, how big of a step, and is that the best he can be? Bradbury, we don't really know yet if that's sustainable either. So it is a very Vikings thing to always be complaining or at least pontificating on the state of the offensive line. Sticking with that, I guess, Austin, do you think Aaron Jones coming here after, Alexander Madison wasn't really that effective, and maybe Ty Chandler, there's something there too, but do you think Aaron Jones, who had a very good career at the Packers, limited with some injuries here and there, but do you think Aaron Jones does kind of put the Vikings running game back in the right direction for the first time in a while?
I like that wording of putting it in the right direction because I think if you're looking at Aaron Jones as like an easy fix, coming in and doing the bell cow thing, just being the guy to carry the rock, no, he wouldn't fix it. But I think that he's going to do a lot to help develop our run game, particularly for guys like Ty Chandler. Getting a veteran in there, it's kind of like the same idea as, or my thought process behind it, kind of the same idea with like having Sam Darnold come in to mentor JJ. Hey, like this is, the kind of reps that you got to take if you're going to be the guy at running back, if you're going to get productive touches. Passing that on down to Ty Chandler, being the 1 and 2, I think he's definitely an improvement. I would say our run game is going to be better. And I think it puts us in that right direction. I'm very hesitant to say like Aaron Jones is the answer because there is that injury history. He is a little bit older, but I think we got a dog. So I think that's going to be good. He's going to be a great locker room guy. I can really see him and Dalton Reisner getting along. But I think it's just going to come down to, making it a long-term thing of this is going to be good for Ty Chandler's development, for this offensive line's development, and moving forward with that. Not to talk about the O-line again, but I think really that's where it all kind of comes back to still. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have a better run game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an intersection, though, right, between offensive line and running game. Sometimes it's not, some of those holes maybe that Madison or Chandler weren't able to hit weren't necessarily on the offensive line's fault. It was on the running back's fault, too, and whatnot. So I think having more of an explosive player there, Aaron Jones, I've been a big fan of him. I know he wears green and gold, but he's a very effective running back, and I believe I saw the statistics when he was out. Over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, the Packers offense, regardless of Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, was not as productive when Aaron Jones was on the field, kind of setting the tone, getting the play action set up, etc. AJ, what about you? Another Packer here also coming back to the Vikings. We get another chapter of that. But are you excited for Aaron Jones here to be wearing purple this year?
Yeah, I mean, he always does well when he's healthy. I took notes too. I love it when Phil goes analytical with the stats. So there's this one that's called true yards per carry. Kind of it makes it more of a premium to be consistent on your carries. And it takes out those big chunk plays, 10 or more yards. And Aaron Jones was 4.5. Ty Chandler is 4.3. So I think he's going to help. But honestly, I think it's just going to come down to KOC. Like, we were 28th in running plays per game. We kind of just abandoned it when we had Jaron Hall, Josh Dobbs, and Nick Mullins being our quarterbacks. Like, do you think you would lean into a little bit more run-heavy approach to your game plans?
It's weird because KOC is obviously like a really good offensive mind, but I do think even with maybe not the right like horses in the race and Madison and Chandler and maybe Aaron Jones fixes that declining Dalvin Cook, his maybe wart on his offensive prowess is he hasn't really been able to show sustained success running the football effectively. Look, that Rams offense that won a Super Bowl, and he was a part of that, obviously. I'm not discrediting him, but that offense was loaded with Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and just wide receivers all over the place, and Cam Akers was okay for them, who obviously then eventually came over to the Vikings. But the running game is something that I think KOC hasn't really either figured out or just unlocked yet in today's NFL. And yes, running backs are being used probably more differently than they ever have in the last 5 to 10 years, but can he also, Kevin O'Connell, just be better with play calling and better with usage on how he deploys all those guys? Is this still going to be a thing where Ty Chandler comes in, or the backup running back, whoever it is, comes in every third series and the starter doesn't take any of those reps? Very curious how he has learned from that and seeing if he can kind of fix some of those things. Defensively, though, obviously Brian Flores sticking around. I think it was a little bit of a surprise. Now, he was still, I think, not blacklisted, but wasn't going to get one of those NFL jobs from his past, but he's sticking around here. The Vikings defense in thirds last year was all over the place. It looked awful, then it looked great, and then it kind of sunk down again. I guess, Austin, what are your expectations for year 2 under Brian Flores, especially too with a ton of roster turnover here and free agents that were added, and we'll see what Dallas Turner does, but what are your expectations for the Vikings defense this year?
Yeah, I got a lot of excitement. I'm really glad that we got Flo back. I think that is a great move for our franchise. I think that even despite the turnover new roster on that side of the ball, I'm still kind of expecting top 10, top 15 defense from B-Flow. I think we, despite losing Daniil, I think that we largely improved our defense. Very excited for Jonathan Grenard. Getting Dallas Turner out there, I think is going to be great. Even if he's just the guy that's just going to come out on blitz packages, that's more than fine. The way that CD was talking about him the other day at his end of practice interview, like that spin move, I want to see that. So really excited about that. I think that is the big ranking thing that I have for this defense. What I really so desperately want out of a Vikings defense that has not happened in so long is stopping the run. I remember watching week 2 against the Eagles and how DeAndre Swift just tore us apart. I think we're great at getting to the quarterback. Secondary needs, I think a little work. I think that's a little bit of a project that I still would hope that we get some improvement on this year. But just stop the run. I do not want to see another guy just run all over us for hours on end on Sunday afternoons. So I would say that's about it. Ranking wise, top 10, top 15, and then stop the dang run. Not asking for like, top 10 run defense, but like just like be competent enough. Like just everybody step up, plug the holes and just stuff a guy.
Their running defense, as we just talked about, offensively running the football, their run defense has been a sieve for the last like 4 seasons. And yeah, personnel-wise, I think that is a huge issue. Flores can only do so much with that when they don't have, Linval Joseph in his prime or the Williams Wall in their prime. I mean, it makes life a lot harder. I think Harrison Phillips is a nice player, but he obviously isn't going to be a world beater like those other guys I mentioned. I guess defensively though, AJ, like, do you think that they're going to be like still dialing up a ton of blitzes? Like, do you think Dallas Turner is going to be one of the best defensive rookie players in football this year? What are your expectations for the Vikings defense?
I do think Dallas Turner is really going to help turn this around. From the stats that I pulled before this, we were 15th in pressure rate on defense, and we know pressure is going to lead to turnovers. 19th in sacks. For the whole year. And I think we mainly last year, the Vikings relying on Hunter to get those. Now we have some depth. And I think that's really going to help turn around the 20th overall in turnovers, pressuring the quarterback, force some bad throws, maybe some sack strip fumbles. And I think that's going to be improved with our new D-line depth.
Yeah, the Grenard I think is going to be great. Dallas Turner looked like one of the best steals in the draft. He falls all the way there. I know the Vikings gave up a ton of capital, but I mean they got one of the best defensive players in the league. And I like Danielle Hunter, still going to be a really good player. The Texans are going to probably be very good next year, and they get to pair him with Will Anderson. But I think Jonathan Grenard, who was also low-key very underrated despite being very effective last year, you pair that with Dallas Turner and just the mindset of Brian Flores, even with the cornerback room maybe being a little thin and inexperienced, which is obviously their weakest side of that position group. But if they can get after the QB and dial up hell against opposing quarterbacks, I think the defense will at least be much more consistent, not much less of those peaks and valleys that we saw in 2023. Fellas, before we wrap up here, Austin, any last takes? Anything you'd like to get off your chest? You're more than welcome to do so. Any shout outs you'd love to give? This is a place for you. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for this Viking season. I think, there were a lot of expectations going into last season, just kind of running it back. I think that this is, we said this last year, but I think this team will be better even if they lose more games or even if they win the same amount of games that we won this past season. I think that it's just a really exciting time to be a fan. We've got JJ in, the kind of formula that we want, learning behind a veteran. Sam Darnold might be, we might be able to unlock him. I mean, that's cool, but even if he's great, 1 year, please. I want our quarterback of the future to come in. I want JJ to come light it up. So that's exciting. Justin Jefferson, if you're listening, please sign that extension ASAP. Kwesi, get it done. And then just, I got a big family, but I want to shout out 2 of my brothers. Trevor, you're probably watching this, so it's just been fun watching football with you and the Wolves this past season. And my brother Zach, he's going to be graduating here in a couple weeks, so very excited for that. And the rest of the family, just love you guys, and yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, man. AJ, you get to go to PNC Park, so I'm already very, very jealous of you being around there and getting to go there on Wednesday. But football-wise, Vikings-wise, and just shout-outs-wise, any last things you'd like to get off your chest here?
I just want to reiterate that, it's exciting. Like, this is the most fun I've had as a Vikings fan for a really long time. We did get that 2022 Kirk Cousins season, but, as a Kirk Crusader, so when he signed, I made a bet with my wife that he would bring us 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 years. And that did not go too well. So
what'd you lose?
We just do dollar bets, but that was a tough dollar to give over when he signed with the Vikings. So I appreciate her dealing with me on Viking Sundays. And then shout out my brothers, just Patrick and Thomas, just always talking Vikings with me, no matter what crazy stat I pull up and text them randomly on a Monday morning.
Love that, man. Yeah, good thing there was only dollar bets there. There wasn't some serious money on there, and just maybe just your pride in the line, which is priceless, of course. So that also helps a little bit. AJ Austin, thank you so much for coming on Vikings Vent Line. Anyone wants to come on a future episode, if you have takes like these guys do, if you're excited for the upcoming season, please reach out, vikingsventline@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button, too, for daily Vikings entertainment. This has been Vikings Vent Line.